Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and for this one, we're going to be doing a combination build between the Wing Scythe and Halo Scythe. This is a really fun one for holy damage and a dexterity build as well. Let's get into the details here. So the Wing Scythe and Halo Scythe have very different weapon skills on them. For the Wing Scythe, we end up with Angel's Wings that we're going to show off here, and you get the bleed build up as well as a close range attack that can do a substantial amount of damage. And then the Halo Scythe's a bit different because you get that long range holy damage that I'm going to show you, which gives you a nice benefit to switch up between the two. Having these two gives us a lot of variety, as I mentioned, because we're able to cover the close range with the Wing Scythe and the Angel's Wings Ash of War, and then Miquella's Ring of Light, which I'm going to show off here in a little bit, on the Halo Scythe is going to give us that ranged attack ability. They both have innate bleed on them as well, so that's a little bit of a bonus, which is definitely beneficial to have that little bit of extra bleed. And by the way, I'm going to show tips occasionally in the video, and for this is where I needed a larval tear basically, and this is where I got it. This is the one in the Altus Plateau, and this is actually fairly easy to get this one. It's a Lion Guardian that's disguised as a Wandering Noble. I have a lot of people that tell me they've run out of larval tears, and I believe there's a total of 18 per playthrough, and there's enough in general to respec a fairly decent amount for each playthrough. And obviously, if you run out of all 18, you're going to have to go into the next playthrough for it. But this one's fairly easy to get. If you didn't know it was here, I'll show it on the map as well. I needed it prior to using the Scythe build, so I wanted to show that. That's where it is in the Altus Plateau, and the Lion Guardian is fairly easy to beat too, and he will drop that larval tear. Next up, where do you get the Wing Scythe? The Wing Scythe is in the Weeping Peninsula. It's going to be in the Tombs Ward Ruins, and I'll show you exactly where to go from here and then where it is on the map. There's going to be two, I believe, perfumers at the bottom here. That can be a little bit of a pain if you're in the early game, but if you're in the late game, you'll be able to beat them fairly quickly. As far as the Wing Scythe itself, it's something that you can grab from the start of the game. This is one of those weapons that you can grab pretty much right away. It does have a little bit of hefty of faith requirement to begin with, but it's worth it overall because it's a really fun weapon to use. It can be really powerful in the early and mid game. Definitely something that you can grab early, as I mentioned. And here we go after we open this. And then we open the chest here, netting us the Wing Scythe in the Weeping Peninsula. And again, this is something you can grab early. There it is in Tombs Ward Ruins, south of the church up there in the Weeping Peninsula. Not too bad to get. Again, you can go straight down from Limgrave and grab that. And next up is the Halo Scythe. Now, the Halo Scythe is a little bit different in the sense that we're going to have to farm for it. It's around a 2% drop rate, and it drops from the Cleanrot Knights in the Swamp of Aeonia. I believe the ones in the Halictree can drop it too. Basically, if they wield it, they drop it. However, as I mentioned, it's around a 2% drop rate. Took me roughly 20 minutes or so to get it. After defeating Commander O'Neill there, you can go straight out and fight that one and farm him. Next up here, by the way, on screen, a lot of people always ask me what journey I'm going into. Here it is on screen. We're going to be going into Journey 18 at my level 150 character, basically my YouTube character. And let's do this. Let's take on some bosses and check out these two cool weapons. Now we have a chance to show off the Halo Scythe. Before we do anything in terms of combination builds or anything like that, we're going to show off the Halo Scythe here. And again, these two, I think I mentioned this, I may or may not have very similar stats. They're both Dex Faith weapons, essentially, with innate bleed on them. They're very, very similar weapons. However, the skills could not be more different. With the Wing Scythe and Angel's Wings, you have that close range, high damage attack, and with Miquella's Ring of Light on the Halo Scythe, we have those 3 rings, essentially, of holy damage that we can send out, and they do pretty substantial damage. Both weapons, by the way, are seemingly boosted by the Shard of Alexander, which makes sense because they're weapon skills. And you can get a lot of damage out of both of these, even though they're holy damage. You're going to see here how convenient it is to be able to send out these holy rings, essentially, because that's what they are, pure holy damage, multiple times in a row, and take down Agil there on Journey 18. He went down fairly fast with the Halo Scythe. Now on to Margit. Margit, for me, wasn't going as well with the Halo Scythe when I brought it in. And I ended up letting him kill me because he beat me up at the door, and it just wasn't a very good clip or video. I usually just let it go, but it was a really not so great clip, so I figured I'd let him kill me and then go back in and use the Wing Scythe more so on him. I figured I'd get more damage out of this, given the fact that we've got some physical damage too, and we're able to build up and maybe get a bleed proc as well. Margit's never going to be that difficult, given the fact that we also have the Shackle, which I used the second time as well, and there on screen you're going to see that I was able to get the bleed proc. By the way, the weapon weapon skill, Angel's Wings, will proc bleed simply for the fact that it's a pure physical attack, and it does have that innate bleed on it that carries over to the weapon skill, so that's important to know too. Out of these two, I think the Wing Scythe for me is a little bit more powerful, but Miquella's Ring of Light can be spammed a whole bunch with a whole bunch of holy rings as well. I'm going to show it off on an NPC invader here, well, the Wing Scythe part anyway, and how good it is with this. By the way, when I said physical attack, I meant it's both physical and holy damage, but it comes straight from the weapon, whereas Miquella's Ring of Light is just pure holy damage that comes from the weapon with no physical part that I know of. As far as I can tell, it seems to be basically holy damage. Now, on the NPC invader here, I do mess up a couple times with the Wing Scythe, but overall it does massive damage to him, and it's able to take him down fairly quickly. By the way, these also have anti-block things on them. I don't know how to explain that more or less, but basically it has a 40% just block ignore as far as the attack goes. So I wanted to show off the knight here, but generally speaking, if an enemy has a shield, you're going to be able to hit through it often with this. Now, this one didn't put up its shield very much. I'll show it gate front with mobs in a little bit later. But as far as the weapon goes, it does fantastic as far as being able to break right through shields and do substantial amounts of damage. Now on to the ultimate boss of this video, Godric, because we started our journey fresh and early, so there's only basically early game bosses to go to, and Godric's going to be the last boss on this video, and then we're going to show off mobs, stats, equipment, and everything you need to know. But before that, if you're not on the Discord, be sure to join that. There's over 400 people in there now. It's been an absolute blast. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, be sure to sub now. There's never a better time to subscribe. I'm going to continue to do Elden Ring content, keep the game going, keep it interesting, and we can continue to enjoy one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. Let's continue with this fight with Godric, with the Wing Scythe and Halo Scythe. As you can see, I mixed it up here. I used the Halo Scythe initially, and then I switched to the Wing Scythe. By the way, the Wing Scythe's hyper armor, once you're in the air, is crazy good. You get really great hyper armor out of that, so that's a really big benefit to the weapon itself. As far as Angel's Wings go, it's definitely a pretty powerful weapon skill in the fact that you can proc bleed on it, you get that innate bleed, that holy damage, that physical damage, and as I mentioned, the hyper armor is definitely no sleeper as well. That's really powerful once you're in the air. You tend to not get knocked out of it. And as you can see there, being able to combine and use both of them, they do have a combination moveset too, but since they're both large scythes, it's on the slow side a little bit. As far as Godric goes though, we're able to mix up everything, use both weapons and take advantage of that. Now we're going to show off the Wing Scythe on some mobs and how it does against shields and regular enemies in general. As I mentioned with the Wing Scythe and Angel's Wings, you are able to get a lot of damage on mobs, and it is very much anti-block. You're going to see with the shield there, it basically just goes right through it. Even though he was holding up the shield, if they're going for 100% physical damage negation, it's not going to matter that much because it has that anti-block ability, which seems to carry over to the weapon skill as well. And you're going to see it again here. His shield's up. He takes massive damage from it. This is a very, very good weapon against mobs, especially regular single individual enemies in the game. This is something that could easily carry you through the majority of fighting them. All right, now that we're done with the mob part and bosses, let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have the Wing Scythe plus 10, we have the Halo Scythe plus 10 in the opposite hand. The offhand, we have the Erdtree Seal plus 10 because it scales well with Faith. We have the Cleanrot Knight set on. I just swapped out the gloves because I was a little bit overweight. You need about 1 or 2 more endurance to use the full set with these stats. Shard of Alexander, Sacred Scorpion Charm, Dragoncrest, preferably the Great Shield, Ritual Swords Talisman for the generic damage at full HP, and then we have the Holy tier and the Defense or Faith tier as well. For stats, it's pretty split. For me, I recommend getting Faith and Dexterity both to as close as 50 as you possibly can. If you can get those both close to 50 while maintaining 50 Vigor, you're going to get a substantial amount of damage out of both these weapons, simply for the fact that they're basically both Faith and Dexterity weapons, so you get the physical portion of the damage as well as the holy damage too, and you can combine the two together for a really fun build. Let's get into the buffs. So for buffs for this build, it's nothing too crazy that I'm doing here. We're going to be drinking our tier first, and then we're going to cast Golden Vow. And then I like Howl of Shabriri here for the 25% generic damage boost, plus it's going to boost those Rings of Light, which Flame Grant Me Strength will not do. And then we're going to fill up our FP, and we can use the Wing Scythe and Angel's Wings for those up-close attacks. And then if you want to go for a ranged, you can use the Halo Scythe and Miquella's Ring of Light for a lot of damage. There's a cool combination moveset between these two. Basically, more or less, you're able to swap between the two for different needs, up close and ranged attacks. These are really fun to use together. By the way, on Discord, our challenge winner was NanoWez, I believe I'm saying that correctly, who won the challenge. He one-shot a rune bear with a fist weapon. That was pretty incredible. Not on the Discord, by the way, definitely be sure to join that. There's over 400 people on there now. And if you're not subbed and you love overpowered PvE builds, be sure to check out all the awesome builds on my channel. There's like an entire library there now. Thanks for watching. As always, I will catch you guys there.